Hey guys, today I'll cover a new weekly bias on the pound yen and update you on the changes for the Aussie yen's daily bias. Okay, so let's start with the pound yen. Okay, this is a weekly chart. Let me already buy the current setup I'm looking at. So the last weekly long trade that formed was right here. And the last weekly short trade that formed was right here this week. So the weekly risk parameters is between this pivot high and this pivot low. So let's go ahead and do our initial analysis and see how much long strength there was for this long trade and short strength for this short trade. Let's go over to the monthly chart. Okay, so on this monthly chart, that weekly long trade formed right here. Now this small gap right here is providing long strength for that weekly long trade. However, simultaneously, this small gap up here is actually making short strength for that long trade because that weekly long trade is running right into it. Okay, but since this bottom gap right here is a little bit bigger than this gap up here, in total there is a little bit of long strength provided from this gap. Okay, on the other hand, that weekly short trade formed right here, and again this small gap right here is providing short strength for that weekly short trade. And moreover, we have this legitimate trend line right here providing short strength also. Let me go ahead and show you that trend line. Okay, so that trend line is attached to this pivot right here and has 3 touches on it. So it's legitimate. Okay, so this trend line right here and this small gap is providing short strength for that weekly short trade. Now that said, that weekly short trade is actually running straight into this trend line also, which adds long strength. So we're going to have to subtract that long strength from that short strength. Okay, so this one's a little bit complicated, but all in all, there seems to be more short strength for that short trade than long strength for that long trade. Okay, so let's finish up this analysis. Let's go back to the weekly chart. Okay, so back on this weekly chart, in terms of candlesticks, there's a nice rejection candle right here, providing a good amount of long strength for this long trade. However, this weekly short trade right here is pretty much just a doji, not providing any strength for this weekly short trade. Okay, so putting all the strengths together, I would say the initial analysis is saying this bias is short, or in other words, price is likely to reach this pivot low before reaching this pivot high. Okay, but we always need lower confirmations to take a trade. So to show you what I'm looking at over there, let's go over to the 1 hour chart. Okay, so on this 1 hour chart, price could range about a little bit more and then come down to this trend line, making the distance between each pivot rather equal. And moreover, in this case, get a couple more tests on this trend line, then break it out, immediately break back in, however, come down to that pivot low to create strong 1 hour short strength. That'll confirm that weekly bias to be short. Okay, and moreover, the reason why I want a couple more tests on this trend line right here is because to begin with, the price action for this trend line is a little bit small to begin with. So in other words, you want bigger arches for lower confirmations typically. Okay, now I'll be willing to take an aggressive entry on this setup too, so I'll keep you guys updated with that. Okay, let's go on to the Aussie yen. Okay, and if you're having trouble understanding what I'm talking about in terms of weekly biases and lower confirmations, check out my analysis manual. Okay, and the link for that is in the details section of this video. Okay, this is a daily chart. Let me run you by the current setup I'm looking at. So initially, the last daily short trade formed right here, then the last daily long trade formed right here. Right in these areas right here, if you recall, there was 1 hour lower confirmation confirming this bias to be short. Or in other words, price is likely to reach this pivot low before reaching this pivot high. However, like I mentioned on the communities tab last week, there was a new daily long trade that formed right here, resetting the bias parameters. So the new bias parameters is between this pivot high and this pivot low right here. And currently I'm still looking for lower confirmations to confirm this bias, and I'll keep you guys updated with that. Okay, so that's it for this weekly analysis. Hope you guys have a great week, guys. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.